Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Good evening, everybody. We'll get started. Going to call to order this meeting, a special meeting of the Bridgewater Town Council, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, I don't have any condolences this evening, but given the 4th of July is coming up and the 250th anniversary of our country, I'll ask for a moment of silence to recognize all of those past veterans who've given their life. And so just join me in a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. We will start. I will ask for a motion to take item Q, executive session, out of order. Can I get a
So moved.
motion?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Lindy. I will entertain the motion to move into executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. The council will come back to open session. We're going to go across the hall into room 201A. I'm going to take a roll call vote for executive session, if I could, Debbie.
Miss Ellenberg,
Yes.
Miss Pagone,
Aye.
Miss Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Dr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio,
Yes.
Mr. Lindy,
Yes.
and Miss McGrath.
Yes.
8 in favor, 0 opposed.
All right, all. Thank you for your patience. We're going to continue down the agenda. We're going to move to back to item A, approval of minutes from previous meeting. We have none. We'll move to item B, announcements from the president. I just wanted to remind counselors that with the closure on Friday of the Academy building, we now have a Tuesday deadline at 10 a.m. to get items in for the agenda, and those agendas will be made available on Thursday afternoons now to accommodate that closure. So just so everybody's aware, I know counselors, our council clerk sent out an email reminder, but just as well for the public's information. Moving on to C, proclamations, we have none. So we'll move to item D, citizens open forum. Due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. And everybody has up until 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. I don't have my nice thing written all out, I just got scribbles. For the water moratorium that's being presented tonight, I asked for clarification. Please explain how this is different than what we already have in place since the end of December. I know no pre-approved projects could be connected to the town water after a certain date in December. So how is this different? And I don't understand the wording of any site at which a building permit has been issued on or before June 30th. What do you mean by a building permit? Is that an approved project? This is just unclear, and I think this order needs some teeth to it. I actually was reading it, and I had to look back to see if it was an order or a resolution, and it just needs teeth. We do need a water moratorium, so I'm hoping something gets passed, but I'm hoping that it's passed with amendments so that it's got teeth and it's clarified. How many projects are there that would be allowed to be hooked up by this? You're saying anything that's not a building permit that doesn't have a building permit. Okay, I don't know what's going on. How many projects are there? Can you let us know how many projects are between now and today, between then and today, that would possibly be allowed to hook up? And, how much water are we talking about? Can our water handle anything that's going to be connected that isn't connected yet? I just want to know if that's the case. If we have things starting to connect, do we have enough water for the new projects, or whenever this ends, are we going to have enough water? And I just feel like this is almost what we've already had in place. But I do feel the town council should approve something tonight with proper support of amendment. And also, what kind of enforcement is there? How do we get this enforced? Who watches over it? So I just, as I say, I have my thoughts all over the place, but I just feel that it just needs a little more teeth and hopefully some amendments and clarification. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John Norris. I live on 1297 Vernon Street. I also own a business here in Bridgewater. We're talking tonight about the water moratorium. I'll make my comments quick. There was already a water moratorium that had been offered in. I think that went to subcommittee and has been, it seems, abandoned with this new one coming in instead. I'd like an explanation as to why that has been swapped out. But moreover, when we had the town managers meeting, and thank you again for coming in at night and doing that, we discussed the fact that there is a possibility with the water moratorium of us losing grants thanks to the MBTA Communities Act. We have another compounding problem that comes on top of that. Governor Maura Healey has recently stated that she is going to be putting in another couple of buildings inside of Bridgewater itself. I believe it's on Hale Street, 28 units with 10 being low-income housing. If we put a moratorium in, Are we now telling the state that we're going to disallow them from putting that project forward? And if we are we ready to handle the ramifications of telling the governor that she can't have that additional growth? So I'm hoping that this town council has seriously considered the ramifications of standing up to a governor who has already sued multiple towns on behalf of the MBTA Communities Act and taking that stand and what that dollar amount would be. I'd like to hear the town council tell us that they've done the cost risk analysis on this, what that is, and whether or not they're willing to take that step on behalf of the people. Just for clarification, I'm very much in favor of a water moratorium. I'm just not in favor of doing it prior to getting an approval from the state in writing that we will not lose our grants, we will not lose future grants, and that we will not be in a double jeopardy of having no water and no money. Thank you.
Hello, Jean DiBattista, 260 Lakeside Drive. I wanted to say I am also in favor of establishing a water moratorium. I think there's specific things that need to go along with that. And I do think, for instance, we need clear exclusions for projects that are already in process or which are state-driven by law. Also, I do think that the water moratorium should have a fixed date, and that date should then be reviewed to see where we are in the future. It should be tied as well to the Mass DEP emergency, and that Mass DEP emergency should basically state that as part of our remediation plan, that we plan to do a water moratorium, which is temporary in nature. So these are just some of the things that I think we should put forth with the water moratorium. However, I think it is very, very clear that we do need one. And, it's very interesting to me that people have been pointing out that our tank levels have been at embarrassing low amounts, and it really, I think, I'm worried, I think people in the town are worried, especially with the 4th of July coming. There's one other thing I want to mention, which, typically a lot of people will have their own homegrown fireworks. I'm hoping that we can all consider not doing that this year. Between the heat wave and the lack of water we have, we are at threat of having a fire. So just wanted to mention that as well. Thank you for listening.
Steve LaBelle, 292 Bedford Street. I have a few questions. As far as a water moratorium, you need to have a DEP permit from the Boston office in order to put that into effect. And I don't think that you've applied for that as of yet. Secondly, does the board realize how important business is for the community? I understand that a lot of people, the residents, are upset about the water, but without business in this town, the town doesn't survive, especially if you're going to challenge the governor and you're going to really risk losing your grants. And I think that townspeople need to know what small business does in the community, all the donations, the Little League donations, there's so many things we help the town with, and I don't think that that is appreciated from a business owner in town. I've been here 24 years, and I've never seen such unorganized. You could never run a business the way this town's being run. And the town is putting themselves at jeopardy for extremely large litigation bills. I'm sure your town attorney would love for you to litigate because he gets paid more. I hope that the townspeople realize this. To defend some of these lawsuits, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to mention if you lose what you're going to pay in damages. And it's nice to sit in a position that you're indemnified, but you're spending the town's money with these litigations. And for instance, I was issued a tie-in permit for water, and the town is trying to rescind it, and that's illegal. There's an attorney on this board, and I'm sure that they can speak to that. But you can't take a water permit. It's not like a building permit that was issued, and the building permit was issued under circumstances where the zoning was incorrect, or there was infringement on another person's property, or things like that. Yes, a building permit can be rescinded. A water permit cannot be not. There's plenty of case law that speaks to this. So I just want to make the board aware. I've tried reaching out via email to a few of you, and I've not had any response to my emails. I've tried to negotiate with the town. You know, I, in good faith, received a water tie-in permit, and I've changed my whole strategy. I've negotiated a lease with other tenants, assuming that with the water tie-in, because I took that in good faith. You cashed my check for almost $30,000, and you don't just arbitrarily say, hey, we're not going to honor this. That's a contract. There's so many violations, and I'm sure that the attorney can speak to you about this, but I don't think that the townspeople realize the ramifications of the lawsuits that are going to be coming into this town. I'm only one of several. So we would be much better off trying to come up with a solution to these problems and than litigation, because there are ways to rectify this. But as a business owner, just the delays that I've gone through in this town has already cost me $60,000, and I don't feel that I should take that on the chin. That would be, you know, something that is just added to lawsuits. So with that being said, I'd appreciate somebody returning some of the emails that have been sent to your board members. Thank you.
James Walsh, Crescent Street. I wanted to speak in favor of the water moratorium. I understand that, you know, from what we heard from our representative at the State House the last time, that this was a defended at the state level approach to protecting our water supply. That, you know, since we are out of water, you know, we're not being selective in who we're saying no to. We are saying no for a time. And I understand it's painful. I know that it will cause some issues, but I think we really just need time. You know, it takes us time to go through and to patch up and to fix things. I know there's a lot of great work that's been going on with the water impact study legislation, with the changes to the form-based code to make sure that we have outcomes that are in line with the intent that was originally passed. But all of that takes time, and every week that we wait, it seems like there's another subdivision, there's another, you know, 500 units somewhere, there's another something, and we just can't afford it. You know, we can't go another year where we add 1,000 units to our water supply, cars on the roads, students in the school system. You know, our schools are struggling, our services are down, we can't afford it, and we just need time. So I really liked that this was pegged to the DEP emergency, that it is, you know, it doesn't have a specific time, but it is pegged when the water emergency goes away, then the moratorium goes away. So I thought it was thoughtfully put together, and from what I could tell from reading it, it doesn't sound like it's the last step. It sounds like it's asking for action to be taken and more discussions will be had. So I just wanted to express my support and thank you for your work on it.
Anyone else?
Hi, Mark Trombley, 123 Old Farm Road. I just have a quick statement. Well, not quick, but I want to just begin by saying I fully support protecting Bridgewater water supply. The clean, reliable drinking water is one of the most important public resources, but I do not believe that the water moratorium is the right solution. A moratorium does not create more water, it does not replace aging infrastructure, and it does not build new wells or improve treatment capacity. It simply stops growth while the town continues to face the same infrastructure challenges. What it does do is reduce future tax revenue. Every new home and business that is built contributes to property taxes that help fund the schools, police, fire, public works, parks, and libraries. The new taxpayers also help share the cost of maintaining and improving our infrastructure. If we stop responsible growth, we also stop the tax revenue that helps pay for those improvements. The costs do not disappear, they are simply shifted onto the residents and the businesses who already exist in town. That means that the existing homeowners could face higher property taxes, water rates, and fewer municipal services. The impact also would extend well beyond the taxes. A moratorium would affect all the local builders, excavators, plumbers, electricians, contractors, laborers, and also trucking supply companies and other small businesses that depend on new construction and investment. These are local employers who hire local workers, support the community organizations, and contribute to our economy. Commercial development is also especially important because it strengthens Bridgewater's tax base. Businesses often generate significant tax revenue while requiring fewer municipal services than residential properties. If the commercial projects are delayed or canceled, those opportunities and that revenue will be lost to neighboring communities. I respectfully ask the council to reject the water moratorium that helps us preserve economic growth, support local businesses, and minimize tax burden on the Bridgewater residents. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Seeing nobody else, we will move to we're going to skip to item N, new business, where we will discuss Order O FY 26060, emergency measure, petition Mass DEP, to amend its emergency declaration to include the following moratorium. Take a motion to declare and accept the emergency preamble.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Allenberg. This will require a 2/3 vote, so if we could do a voice vote, please, Debbie. A roll call, please, Debbie. And this is to declare the emergency, just to be clear.
Ms. Ellenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Pagone,
Yes.
Ms. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Dr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio,
Yes.
Dr. Perry, yeah, he's gonna.
Yes.
Mr. Lindy
Yes.
and Ms. McGrath.
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move to a vote to suspend section 18, readings of the council's rules and procedures. This will again require a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules, and we will again do a roll call vote, please.
You need to,
So moved.
Oh, motion
Second.
made by Councilor Allenberg and seconded by Councilor Hunt.
I made the motion. And I seconded.
Right.
Ms. McGrath,
Yes.
Mr. Lindy,
Yes.
Dr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio,
Yes.
Dr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Ms. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Pagone,
Yes.
and Ms. Ellenberg.
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, next I'll take a motion for the measure in which we can have discussion, but I need a motion first and a second, please.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion to approve the measure?
Motion to approve.
In a second.
Second made by Councilor Lindy. Okay, we'll open up for discussion, and I'll go around the table. Folks have anything they'd like to say? Councilor Trocchio.
I think this measure is long overdue. I'm supporting the water moratorium. I think that this measure, overall, it is a water hookup moratorium, number one. It's not a building moratorium. Number two, if we're going to act as if we're in an emergency, let's act like we're in an emergency. We're continuously receiving water from Middleborough, another town. I think supporting this resolution puts our town in the best possible renegotiation position for Middleborough. Number three, I also think that supporting this measure helps to set a standard. You know, we sit here in these meetings weekly, bi-weekly, and we hear people saying, well, why am I turning off my water and I can't water my grass, but my neighbor waters the grass, or whatever. You know, this sets the standard. We're able to set the standard and say, listen, this is an emergency, and this allows us to do that. I also would argue that this does not affect the MBTA Communities Act because the overall intent is to preserve likelihood and preserve for public policy and public safety, excuse me. This isn't to avoid the MBTA Communities Act. This isn't to prevent any sort of new building of multifamily housing. This is to prevent and preserve our most precious resource, and that's water. So I rise in favor of this motion, and I hope my fellow councilors join me. Thank you.
Councilor Lindy?
So I'm also strongly in favor of this. I think we are in an absolute emergency. We have heard nothing but this from the residents for a while. We are getting water from another town. We have other options to look at, but they're down the road to look at those options, and I do not think we can wait any longer to do this. I lived in a city before that had a total water ban, complete and total water ban. They signed on to that desal plant. I don't think they were too happy about the results. I know of projects that were stopped dead in their tracks. I know we need business, but it's the chicken and the egg. Which came first? We need water, our residents need water, and we can't continue to do what we've been doing, kicking the can down the road. Thank you.
Councilor Ellenberg?
Yes, I also support the water moratorium, and I will say with regard to the litigation, the state has put in the emergency mandate. They are above us, the town. So if we pass this, we have the protection of the state DEP emergency declaration. So I think that the litigation threat is overblown because we have a very good defense. That's my personal legal opinion, and I may be wrong, but I'm in favor of the moratorium.
Councilor Spigot?
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow colleagues, residents in attendance, folks at home. I've been grappling with this for the last few days. I've received some very good input from residents, a couple that are in this room, and I really appreciate it. I have lost sleep over this entire issue because this is something that should have been done months ago. I recognize it's a lengthy process to go through DEP and get all sorts of, write-offs on things to say it's okay to go forward and it's okay, or okay not to do something. I'm in support of this because it's long overdue. I'm in agreement with my colleague because an emergency situation supersedes the existing law that's in place. That's why an emergency typically exists. If that were not the case, then emergencies would never be declared in the first place. So from a pragmatic approach, because this is tied to the water emergency provided to us by our friends at DEP, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has effectively said that their own rules are now superseded by their own legal precedent under 21G in the state law, which guides this type of a situation. But it also, to me, is an effort to say to those who are looking to build in our community, we need to take a step back from moving forward on these types of proposals because of the fact that we've been moving in a way that has not been checked or balanced in that time. It was irresponsible to go ahead and take these types of actions and allow these types of projects to go forward. Yes, I realize there are stipulations through the planning board, but the biggest issue is that you're basically saying, go ahead, when you don't have one of the major resources that everyone absolutely needs to have, almost by right, water access. And notwithstanding the ability to put in a well, because some places in town may be able to do so. This demonstrates both to the public and to those who are interested in possibly building in town or are preparing to build in town that we need to actually review what's going on so that we can make sure that when we are prepared to provide water resources to you, we can do so in a manner that is consistent, reliable, safe, and potable for all of us, not just your needs, but all of our needs. And I think that's the most vital, important part of this, Mr. President. And while it doesn't have everything that I personally would like to see in it, I know I would like to offer an amendment. It may be more lengthier than what is germane to this evening. So I'm looking forward to maybe hopefully having that as a future discussion. But for all intents and purposes right now, I think it is imperative that we take a vote on this and approve it tonight, because then we can go back and eventually make some additional changes and have additional discussions, especially with those who are looking to invest deeply in our town. And I think that gives us more of an opportunity. I would rather go into this with a honey approach rather than a vinegar approach. And I think this is the first step to bring in the honey.
Councilor Kennedy?
There's quite a bit here. So there were some questions asked by the public that I'll try to address the best of my ability. The state has not given us a very clear answer on the grants. Our state rep has come in and said things, but those are not in writing from the state. After this was put on the agenda, there was some contact with the Attorney General's office. There was no commitment there either that this wouldn't violate the MBTA Communities Act. The reason why this is concerning is because we have grants that we've applied for specifically for the Vernon Street wells. There's no guarantee we'll get them. There's no guarantee how much money that will be. But when we're talking water infrastructure and not having the funding to add additional wells to our town, that is something seriously to consider when we don't have that confirmation. Small businesses and large businesses in the town are an essential part of the town's growth and taxpayer base. We declined as a town to have an override and pay more taxes, and one of the only ways to continue to fund the town is through growth. You cannot stop the growth of the town and not pay more in taxes without losing services. And currently, we are having conversations and have been about the library. And that is not a lot of money, but when you add large businesses that can pay significantly more taxes, that prevents overrides in the future potentially, or potentially large overrides, let's say that. We have a list in front of us with addresses that are potentially being developed, somewhere in the process of being developed, and as what was brought up by the public, there is a significant concern for any level of litigation on any of these. We're having trouble paying for our library, and we have quite a long list in front of us. So there are concerns if we continue doing what we're doing, and there's also concerns if we put a moratorium in. That may end up in the same result. We don't have a crystal ball, but one way or another, we may end up with some form of litigation. We don't know exactly how much. So we are going to essentially put the state in a position, if we vote on this, to kind of call them on this and see if they're going to exclude grants for something that is a true emergency, not something that's fictitious, not something that we're trying to get out of development, and continue to get those grants to solve the very reason we have the emergency, or they may decline those grants and then we lose that money. So I'm going to make an amendment, a short amendment to start with, because I think a resident brought a very valid point and I think it's needed. So in the whereas Mass DEP, it's on page 4 of 4. Whereas Mass DEP approved that request on June 5th, 2026, I'd like to add which expires on 12/4/26, because that is when the DEP approved emergency expires as it currently stands. So that way that date is documented within this. So I move that.
I'll second that.
12/4/26.
Motion made by Councilor Kennedy and seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any comments on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. We have to take a roll call vote because of Dr. Perry.
Ms. Ellenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Pagone,
Yes.
Ms. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Dr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio,
Yes.
Dr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Lindy,
Yes.
and Ms. McGrath.
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay. Amendment passes. Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you. Thank you all. The question was brought up about approved projects. What do approved projects mean? How do we define that? Based on the list that we have in front of us, approved projects could mean a building permit, comprehensive permit, a subdivision's approval, site plan approval. We could potentially, survey approval. We could potentially add something in there that includes those to allow building that is already in motion, already has investments, is already halfway completed. These are additions to possibly a subdivision. We could add language in here that allows for what we've already approved, but is going to halt everything after this moratorium passes. I don't know how that's going to look for the state. I don't know how that's going to look for any kind of potential legal action, but I figured I'd give it a shot. So I'd like to make another amendment. Next to number 1, in the therefore, currently it states, any site at which a building permit has been issued on or before June 30th, 2026. I'd like to change the verbiage for building permit to any site at which
Project is
approved project has been issued, or any approval of a project has been issued on or before June 30th. So any approval of a project has been issued.
You all set, Debbie?
Any site in which any approved project has been issued on or before June 30th, 2026?
Yes.
So you remove the building permit, replacing it with any approved project.
Yep. And then I would also, in addition to that, below that line, define what an approved project is. So I'll give you that list as well. Approved projects are defined as any project that has site plan approval, survey approval, a building permit, a comprehensive permit, an approved subdivision. And that will end that amendment.
Okay, a motion's been made for an amendment. Do I have a second for
Second.
discussion? Seconded by Councilor Spigot for discussion. I will open the floor for any discussion on that amendment. Councilor Trocchio?
I think this is a twofold amendment. I see it in two separate fashions. I think the definitions are good, and I think they help bring clarity. However, I would pause with the pre-approval, in my opinion, just because if we're going to lean into the emergency fact, and that we're genuinely doing what we believe is right to preserve our water source and put us in the best bargaining position and so on and so forth, I would shy away from that, but I do like the definitions as it gives specificity. Thank you.
Got it. Any other comments on the amendment? I will just add, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilor.
Our counsel here has advised us to keep it simple, and therefore I probably will not be supporting all of this explanation in here because it does make it like, well, we have an emergency with all these exceptions, so it's not really an emergency. And I think we ought to keep it simple the way it is. And in terms of a challenge, our attorney has said there is no case law on this. So we might be a case of first impression. And so we are the only town in the Commonwealth that has a stated emergency with DEP. And I think we can stand on that as our defense. And I think that we shouldn't put in all these amendments because it weakens the moratorium. Thank you.
Councilor Lindy?
I also want to keep it as simple as we possibly can. I think this is a pretty comprehensive list that we just got today, and I don't think we have the infrastructure or the water to support it. So I could not, in good conscience, vote for this.
Councilor McGrath.
Maybe just clarify, so we're just defining what a pre-approved plan is?
Yep.
So that's all we're doing with
That's
all
all that
these?
that does, is it,
So
currently it
anything
says,
that's been pre-approved under these, we're not moving forward with?
say that again, I'm sorry.
So we're just, any pre-approved project, you're just defining what a project is, whether it's at the site approval, this,
That just defines, because of, we have multiple projects in different phases of development, and this essentially halts any of those. So if, as an example, a subdivision was already approved for, we'll say 30 units, and they've been able to build 20 of them, they still have 10 more to build, and each individual home that they build has to get a building permit, but this will prevent that process from taking place. And those could have been in place now for quite a while. We already have the language that does allow anything that has a building permit. That's already in this. So this expands that particular section in here to both allow projects that are currently in various stages of development in town without halting that development. And in some effort, I guess, to prevent additional potential litigation down the road for stopping things halfway, if it were to arise.
so it's just showing us all of these are going to be stopped, no matter what level they're at.
If we, correct through you, Mr. President, to answer Councilor McGrath, everything on a list that we requested from the town manager as to what is currently in the approval process, lists 40B properties, subdivisions that have been approved, multiple homes, and there's a list of projects that are currently before the planning board that, from my understanding, do not have approval. So those would not count in this list, but the other part of this list is things that are currently in development already. So there's houses under construction currently that are permitted, and there's quite a few. And there's site plans that have been approved for some developments. So again, that's my effort to try to find some middle ground in a situation that I don't think any of us particularly want to be in, but it will hopefully prevent spending excess money that we don't have on lawsuits. But again, I know there's optics for the state and there's optics for how this would look with some additional approvals, so I'm just trying to split the difference as best as possible here.
Thank you.
I'm just going to comment quickly, if I could, and then we'll go back. We have referenced the list that's in front of us several times, but for the public's understanding, to the town manager, is there a way that we, and I know we talked about this during the water forum, can make, I mean, it's a public document now that we all have it, but can we make this available to the public to review?
Yeah, we tasked Executive Assistant about putting that on. We got the list from the building department, so I think we are putting it on the page if we haven't done it already. But I'll make sure that it's up there.
It will be on the website?
It will be on the website. This is also the list that we presented quite a few months before, but we will make sure it's on the website.
Thank you. And then for a follow-up to that, could Mr. Solari, if he or somebody walk us through this list and just kind of define what it means? Councilor Kennedy had mentioned, I think, 4 different permits or processes. Just be good to have sort of a definition of what those permits mean, I think.
Yeah, Steve can do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Honorable Council, why don't I start with the homes first? That'd be the easiest way to start. So I, right now, have approximately 85 homes.
Mr. Solari, do you want to introduce yourself just
Oh,
quickly?
I'm
What
sorry,
your
I'm
title-
Steve
just for the
Solari.
public
I'm the
again
building
watching.
commissioner, I apologize.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. We have about 85 homes and 4 duplexes right now that are approved. The 40B, which is the comprehensive permits, I have 2 projects that, I have 20 houses for Jasmine Way yet to be permitted, and I have about 38 homes for Duxborough Estate. So those are our 2 big 40Bs. So right then and there, we have about 58 homes just in comprehensive permits. The rest of them are smaller projects. We do have 1 project on High Street, which is Madeira's Way. That's 9-lot subdivision. I have a subdivision off of East Street, which is called Hiawatha. We've permitted 4. There's still 8. These aren't 40Bs. These are normal. I do have a couple smaller subdivisions. We have a 4 lot subdivision on Cross Street. They haven't even, all they do is clear the land. They haven't done anything with it. So it's in the list, but I do have a few subdivisions that haven't really gone any farther. A lot of the other ones are small. Pinnacle Point, which is at the top of Broad Street, they just paved it. That's 4 duplexes. We have one house on Mansion Way, which is a small subdivision off of South Street, that there's one. But basically, 85 is the amount of homes that we have. And out of that 85, basically 58 are out of our comprehensive permit for that. And as far as the projects that probably get the most talked about are on the pre-approved projects. Number one, of course, is the hotel. That's a hotel, and it's going off of Lakeshore Drive. That was approved back in, well, it was approved back in '23. So that right now is going through the permitting process. The other project we have, which hasn't really started, which is the Henry Perkins Foundry. That's 150 units of apartments, but they haven't even started doing any. They're far from water. They're probably a couple years away because they still have to demo the factory. Right now, they're still going through the property, cleaning it before they even get a demo permit. The other project, as we know, 210 has already been permitted. The other one that we have is pretty much, I'm just going through here, the hotel, the Perkins. Those are the hotel and the Perkins Foundry are our 2 big projects. I know people have gotten up here and spoken about all these projects. These projects have been in existence for a while now. There has been projects that have come in front of the planning board, and of course, they're not pre-approved. When Main Street came in, that's not pre-approved. The project for the O'Reilly's Auto Parts, that wasn't a pre-approved. So there isn't as many projects, I think, as people have. We have houses going everywhere. That is the list of what we have. And again, the hotel and Perkins is the 2 biggest that haven't been permitted yet, but were pre-approved a while ago, both of those. And again, the houses, I will be honest with most of the houses, I probably average about 12 a year, 12 to 15. So it's not like they're doing 25 at once or 30 at once. They're spread out over a period of time. But that's pretty much what I have that's pre-approved for the town at the moment.
A clarifying question on that,
Sure.
just on the houses specifically. So there are 62 houses, according to this list, that have yet to be built.
Yeah.
I guess. Of those 62, you're saying that really only 10, 12 on average get built a year.
Right. Well, right now, like I said, I have technically 85 homes that were approved.
Right.
And again, I could, ask, the 2 biggest, the biggest one that we have is Duxborough, and they're the ones that's off of Curve Street, and there's 38. The other one that we have is on Jasmine Way, which is a 40B that's behind the Cumberland Farms and the car wash, which was just bought at auction last year for $2 million. And he just went in there and redid the whole place, and he just started pulling permits for a project that was approved. Even I think before I got here, that's how far Jasmine Way is. So, that's where we stand at the moment with the houses, pretty much.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Councilor Lindy and then to Councilor Kennedy.
So by approving this amendment, all this construction can take place or can't take place? I want to make sure I'm clear.
You want to clarify that, Councilor Kennedy?
It would be construction that can continue as it has been scheduled and ongoing. And through you, Mr. President, to Mrs. Laurie, we have 2 wells coming online, hopefully we're looking at the end of the summer. So are any of these projects coming on between now and September that you're aware of?
The hotel just got a foundation permit, And I know the hotel's not going to be looking for water till way until next year. And again, Perkins, they're at least a year and a half, 2 years out, because they haven't even demoed the foundry yet. As far as the houses, like I said, you're averaging about, 12 to maybe 15 at the most. And those are pretty much going to be my 40B projects, because the other ones are individually owned, so they still have to go through, process. But that's what I have. That's what I have. And even a new house right now is going to take, by the time they start digging the foundation, the average house right now is taking anywhere from 6 to 7 months, if it's quick, and if Mother Nature is dealing with them correctly. But nothing's going to happen in the next couple months as far as, a few months, matter of fact, needing water for these projects.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Ellenberg?
I would just like to point out that this moratorium is supposed to be for 6 months. So it probably would not impact the projects that you were just describing to us. That's all.
I would think the only project that would be the any houses that got done quicker than usual, but most of the time it's over 6 months for a new house to be built. That when it gets permitted, anything that's permitted right now has water. So,
Councilor Kennedy?
Just to kind of expand on that a little bit, do the developers that are doing some of those projects, do they continue with the process if there's no water available for them?
No, because again, like I've said in past meetings, I can't issue water. I mean, I can't issue a permit unless they have potable water. So I know that I have discussions with a few of the smaller, maybe one building units that will probably do wells, because it's a Form A where it's just a single house, or it's in a 2-lot subdivision, they're gonna do it. But the big 40Bs are already been done, meaning the streets are all in, all the structures are all put in, so they're all set up for water. So, but the smaller ones, again, there are a few, I can't say they're all, but a few of them are gonna go with wells. But again, the 40Bs, they have been done for a long time, so Duxborough and Jasmine Way, they've already been installed and piped, and I even think one of our big developments that are not a 40B, which is Madeiras Way up off of High Street, I think they're also been, all the structures have been put in place.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Trocchio?
Thank you. I really think if we're gonna declare a watertorium emergency, it needs to be an emergency. I don't think there should be any sort of specific carve-outs. I do believe that there's a change in circumstances, like if things do change, like we did call a special town meeting to specifically address this, we can pull back this water moratorium or rescind it. I think based on the current circumstance of having, again, a hookup with Middleborough, 2 wells in development, the only town in the Commonwealth having a supply emergency, let's call it an emergency. Let's not say, well, it's an emergency, but not really. Like, well, my house is burning down, but it's only just like kind of the garage, so it's okay. Let's call it an emergency. I think that gives us the best possible outcome to survive any sort of litigation, not trying to anticipate litigation, but actually lean into the emergency.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Thank you, Mr. Solari. Seeing none, Debbie, we will take a roll call vote on the amendment that Councilor Kennedy had, please.
Ms. Ellenberg?
No.
Ms. Pagone?
No.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Dr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio?
No.
Dr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
No.
And Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
5 to 4.
5 to 4.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. So the amendment is now included in the
Right.
final water moratorium. Any further discussion on the moratorium? Seeing none, we can move, Council Lindy?
She.
Oh, sorry, Council Espino.
I just want to make sure, Mr. President, I did have a couple of questions, but I'm not sure at this point if they're even germane to this discussion right now. For us to take the vote on it tonight, I did want to ask some questions of the town manager and the town attorney, but I think we already got the answers, but I just want to ask again, just in case if there's anybody tuning in that didn't necessarily hear our conversation earlier. Mr. Rollins, do we have any clarification from the Commonwealth or EOHLC, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, as to our ability to implement a moratorium given the situation with the water emergency and our DEP guidance?
I'm confused by the question. Can you ask that again? I'm not sure I'm following the question.
The concern, this is going to tie back to one of the questions that Councilor Kennedy brought up as it relates to like the grants. Because EOHLC is the agency that would be the ones imparting grants to us.
Yep.
Do we have anything from the Commonwealth backing up our ability with the DEP guidelines under the water emergency that we can go ahead and put this moratorium in place without some semblance of major consequences against us?
So there's multiple questions in there. So why don't we start with, do we have anything from the Commonwealth relative to grants under the MBTA? I've had communication with the Attorney General's office. There's been some indication, which were statements made previously by your state representative, in addition to information we received from the state, indicating that they could consider these kind of carve-outs in emergency circumstances relative to the grants. However, they went on to say that they could not give a definitive answer until they review it further. That would be my answer to that. Relative to some of the other aspects of your question, I think they're more an opinion of what that means. I have no idea what that means. I don't think it's a definitive answer, and I wouldn't feel comfortable giving the council a definitive answer that the state will be okay with this and continue to allow for grants when I don't have that guarantee in writing from anyone.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins. I do have a couple of other follow-up questions, Mr. President, through you to the town attorney. When we do put this in place, if it gets voted on to be put in place, what is going to be our effective enforcement mechanisms once this is in place? Are we just going to use exactly what we've been using before, which is go throughout town to make sure folks aren't using water? Or is there some other type of enforcement mechanism that we would have at our disposal pursuant to MGL and pursuant to DEP?
So the way it would work is your order is to petition DEP under the current emergency order to implement a moratorium. So that's exactly what you're asking the town manager to do by way of your order. So that's exactly what we would do. We would go to DEP, we would create this as part of our water plan under the emergency, which is 21G. The state then, DEP, would either sign off on it or get back to us and give us reasons why. And once they signed off on that plan, implementing the moratorium in the exact way that you've just defined it, they then would be part of the enforcement, but we also would be, and we really are the gatekeeper of the enforcement here, because what this is saying to us, by way of an order that would be approved by the DEP, that we have backing to not issue, right, the ability to tie into the public water source under certain situations. So that's the best I can explain that process, but that's essentially what it looks like. So I don't know, when you say enforcement, I'm not sure what that means, because we would be the ones implementing the order, right? It would be up to us to say, you're a pre-approved plan, so you get to tie in, because that's what the DEP emergency order says, and that was the will of this council, right? We would also similarly be able to say, The DEP emergency plan now says, or order now through this plan says, these projects cannot tie in, so you now cannot tie in. So that's kind of where, I guess you could call that enforcement. I really think it's just following whatever the emergency order then says.
My last question, Mr. President, to the town attorney, do we need to state anything regarding existing wells or projects that may seek to tie in to their own private wells? Obviously, if they can't tie into the town water, they will probably have an option to tie into the wells. Does this cause any issue with that capability?
No, because what this says is that the town shall impose a moratorium on new connections to the Bridgewater water supply. So if a project has a private well, they wouldn't need to tie in to the Bridgewater water supply. So it wouldn't be applicable under that circumstance, right? That would be a carve-out to that because they're tying into their own water supply, not ours.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Councilor Lindy?
Just a final comment. I really like the analogy that Councilor Trocchio did. The house may not be on fire, but the garage is burning, and we don't have the water to put it out. I think this would allow us to move forward and be rescinded later on when the water emergency isn't there. But otherwise, I think we're going to be SOL, and I'm not going to say what that means.
Any further comments? Councilor Kennedy?
I just want to say that we are and have been in an extremely tight spot. We've had multiple well redevelopments not go as well as we had hoped. We were fortunate enough to receive grant money to redevelop and filter the Plymouth Street wells 10A, 10B. We do have property on Vernon Street that has 2 wells that are drilled. We just need to build the infrastructure and get the approval and site approval to do all that work. So we need funding for that, which hopefully we do get through the MBTA grant money to assist us with that. You know, we need to ensure that we have long-term water here in Bridgewater, and we may need to bridge that gap at some point. But I look forward to working with my fellow councilors to try to ensure that we don't overbuild in that process as well. We do need to limit what we're doing and be more conservative with our water. I know people are going to be upset at different aspects of this, and to be honest with you, I don't believe any of the councilors are, you know, we may not all see completely eye to eye on this. But for myself, you know, I was trying to wait and sort this out and continue along the path that we were going on with not having tie-ins, as the town manager has kept that for the last 6 months. This puts it more, this writes it down that we aren't going to allow those. And I hope that we're able to also use this in the future to get additional grants, just stating that we simply have the moratorium and we had to go that far with this. So I appreciate everybody's discussion tonight.
Just a question.
Yes, Councilor Lindy?
Voting yes means exactly what?
The motion was made to approve the water moratorium.
Thank you. And that's with the amendments.
Yes. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, the council will take a vote. If we could go to roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Pagone?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Dr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio?
Yes.
Dr. Perry? I had to mute him. Dr. Perry? I'll go back to him. Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Do you want me to wait for Dr. Perry? Oh, there he is. Dr. Perry?
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay. Thank you all. We will move to citizens' comments. Due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. Reminder that folks have 3 minutes, and if they could state their name and address for the record, please.
seem to be the first one all the time. Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. Thank you for passing it. One comment I have, everybody's concerned about the state taking away our grant money. Shame on the state if that's the case, and it's not fair. I would say everyone should write to the governor and express your concerns on that, and shame on her if they do take it away. It's an election year, maybe she'll listen. And the only other thing I'm going to say, it's about these executive sessions. This is at least the third one that's been taken out of order, at least the third one recently. And it's not fair to the residents. We rush here to be here on time. 7 o'clock is when this meeting starts, and we get here, and then, boof, you're off to do the exception. This was over an hour long. You guys were out. Sorry, I don't mean to say disrespectful, you guys. The town council was out, and we waited till quarter after, almost 8:20, for you to come back. An executive session, if you're going to do it early, come in at 6:30 and do your executive session, because we shouldn't be here for that. We're sitting here. Some people had to leave. So I meant to say it the last time this happened. To take it out of turn is coming out of time, and it doesn't solve us getting out any earlier, that's for sure, because we have to wait for you to start the meeting. So I would respectfully request that executive sessions, if they're going to be at the end, keep them at the end. If you want to move them up, then come in at 6:30, which may be hard for some members of the town council to come that early, I understand. But it's becoming a bad habit, I would say. So I just respectfully request that you keep them at the end. If they're supposed to be at the end, keep them at the end. That way we're not all sitting here waiting for a meeting to start that we took the time to come to, and people are tuning into, and that's the only comment I have. Otherwise, I'm very thankful for you passing that moratorium, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Jean DiBattista, 260 Lakeside Drive. I have a concern that I've had for a while. It's not directly related to this water moratorium, but it is related to the exclusion that just passed. And I support, reasonable definitions for what should be excluded. But there's been some circumstances in this town where things have been approved where they should have been expired. And I think that needs to be looked at, especially in this situation, because in some cases, for instance, it was very clear to the public that a building permit should have been expired, but the building inspector, we don't understand this, still approved it to go forward. A second time also, there was a special permit that very, very clearly should have been expired for a group of projects, and the public asked multiple times for an explanation as to why that special permit was allowed to move forward. We asked multiple parties for that information. We never got any reason back as to why that particular permit was allowed to move forward, in spite of public record requests as well, and in spite of asking multiple sources. So while I support developers who have legitimately gone through the process to get their projects approved, to get a site plan approved, to get a subdivision approved as being part of a legitimate exclusion, I am concerned when I see things going on in the town which aren't explained as to why a particular permit, special permit, building permit, etc., which clearly expired, was allowed to move forward. So thank you.
Seeing no one else, we will move to council comments. We'll start with Councilor Ellenberg, if you have any comments.
Thank you for coming out, residents. It's very important that you're here. I'm very pleased that the moratorium was passed. I think it is a little bit lax, but okay, it's a compromise. At least we're starting, It's only going to last for 6 months. And so we have taken a positive step forward for the town. Thank you.
Councilor Spigot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I share Councilor Ellenberg's appreciation that we were able to pass this tonight. It is an initial first step. I think this gives us an opportunity to maybe even firm it up a little bit more as we go forward. I feel that maybe perhaps one of the proposals that I've put forward in the last few weeks, maybe some pieces of that can now be integrated into additional stipulations or guidelines to help folks understand what the state of play is in town now that this moratorium exists, what the implications are, and how we are going to observe it and try to ensure it is enforced. I think it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we have guidelines and explanations, because throwing out a term like a moratorium can mean, you know, a very wide range of things. We should have some specificity in it, and I think at that point, Mr. President, that's why I think at some point we should have a little bit of collaboration on whether we can incorporate some pieces of the Water Act proposal into it going forward, especially where it's a 6-month situation. I think it would be best to put those in, and for future use, we may even be able to use them as additional regulations going forward to protect and preserve our resources and the ability to provide them to residents and businesses in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Hunt.
Thank you. It's just very interesting to me to see how difficult it's been to be on the town council and to appreciate everything everybody does. Specifically tonight, enforcing this moratorium was a difficult choice. It puts good things up together and you have to pick the best, and we hope we did. And I'm so grateful for the people who are running our town, the ones who go out and make sure that we get the information that we have to make the difficult choices that we need to make. And I'm sorry if we can't always be positive for every bit of communication that we get from citizens. I'm grateful when I read what you're thinking, what you're looking at, what you wish for, and wishing that we could always snap our fingers and make it all work for you. Bridgewater is dealing with something that has grown over many years, and we're finally addressing it and fixing it as best we can. And I'm grateful for the town's employees who hand it to us. I'm grateful for the other counselors and how hard they work on it. And I'm grateful for all of you who come and listen to us and talk to us and make us feel like it's a worthwhile challenge. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Hunt. Councilor Trocchio.
I think this moratorium is a step in the right direction. However, I'm still not in favor of the carve-out. So there's that. This week, there's going to be a pretty substantial heat wave. Make sure you check on your neighbors, check on your elderly friends, your pets, don't leave them outside. There's probably a potential, for fuses blown. Everything kind of comes up as everyone's connecting their ACs and things like that. So just keep an eye on the weather, stay hydrated. That's all I got.
Councilor Lindy.
I'm thankful for the residents that have all spoken to us over the different months and continue to come to these meetings. I think we had to take the action we took tonight. I don't think we have a choice. It isn't everything we want, and it isn't everything that maybe business people want, but unfortunately, we're in an emergency situation. We have to act. That's what we're here for. It's temporary. Hopefully, we'll have better news in 6 months. I think it does empower us to go over to Middleborough with a straight face and continue to get a connection for whatever amount of months they want to give us. It gives us just a chance to develop things, and I'm sorry that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts does not understand the emergency situation we're in. We're talking about a property on Hale Street that they want. we just can't build and not think about what we need to do. I think the town manager, the water superintendent have done their due diligence, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of that and be masters of our own destiny. I also echo Councilor Trocchio's comments about the heat. It could be really, it's Thursday's supposed to be really bad, like 100 degrees and the heat index. I wish we had a plan in place for people to go to if they have an emergency situation. And I think it's something we should work on going forward into the future. Middleborough's done it, Brockton's done it. I think we should do it. That's all.
Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. The CERT team is going out to do wellness checks. We work with the fire department. They send us out all the time, which is nice to know that someone's looking after our seniors. I know it's been tense, but I don't know if anybody's been watching the soccer. It helps release. They're really funny. You've seen the Scots in Boston and stuff like that. It's been really good. I know me and my grandsons, we have brackets, and it's been fun to watch. So I advise just to take a break from it and watch it. They really appreciate our food, our friendliness. So far, Boston's #1, so that's proud to be of, that they like to party in. I actually ran out of beer. That's a huge thing. So if you know, there's a couple on, but you really should watch it and watch the podcasters, how excited they are to see our country, the freedoms we have and stuff. It makes you appreciate it a little bit more. Thank you.
Councilor McGrath. Councilor Kennedy.
There's going to be different groups of people after the moratorium that are going to be pleased with it and not pleased with it. I think that we were trying to reach a compromise within the body itself, and we'll see what the state does. I hope the state looks at what we have going on and understands that we actually have an emergency. We're not looking to get out from underneath anything. And we need the grant money specifically to get ourselves out of this emergency. So I hope they make the right decision on that and assist us. Thank you to everyone who did stay throughout the entire thing. We do appreciate it. Thank you to my fellow councilors, and I hope to see many of you on Saturday for the 4th of July parade. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to add too much to the water situation. I think my fellow councilors have already said enough. I will be present at the Monday, July 6th Select Board meeting in Middleborough in hopes that we can work through an extension for the town. We've already been able to make progress in our town with the connection that we've had, and hopefully we can continue to make some progress over the next few months as well if Middleborough will continue that agreement with us. Additionally, wanted to just again let you know that the 4th of July committee is still collecting any funds that anybody could give. It's an incredible day for our town, and hopefully folks can come out and enjoy it and see the parade and the fireworks. And there's many local businesses that are also helping support that and will be present at the events as well too. So take advantage of that piece, please. But again, thank you to the councilors, thank you to the citizens that came out and spoke, to the ones that sent the emails, the ones that have come out in the past 8 months to speak about this topic. I appreciate it. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Made by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Spigon. And we'll do a roll call.
You don't need a roll call. He's gone.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjourn.
That's a government wage right there.